Afriforum is calling its last witness to the stand today. Yesterday, 2 farm attack victims detailed their trauma. The group says the EFF's singing of "Shoot the Boer" incites violence against white farmers. For an update, we're joined now by eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu, who has an update for us from the court case. So this is the Afriforum versus EFF case, the leadership of the EFF. What has transpired in court today, and where does it place us in the trajectory of the entire case?
Well, to us, what we have heard today is an expert witness from an expert from the Institute of Race Relations. But this is also a person who was also there in Senegal 2 years ago during that court case of Brandon Horner, where, of course, he says at the time he was reporting there as a journalist, not an expert for the Institute of Race Relations. And he basically testified to the court about the atmosphere there in Senegal 2 years ago. You recall that this is where the issue starts, the fact that Julius Malema and MP Mbuyiseni Ndlozi had in fact sang the songs, those insightful songs during that appearance in court in Senegal. You recall that one of the allegations that MP Mbuyiseni Ndlozi had sang the song called "The Fire Brigades Burn These Boers," which of course is part of this complaint that is before this court. What basically Afriforum is saying is that this particular song incites violence, and the fact that Ndlozi had sang that song simply shows that they are in contempt of court when it comes to issues of not singing any hateful songs that are targeting white farmers. And also the singing of the song "Shoot the Boer" by the EFF leader Julius Malema, apparently who sang it also outside that court appearance. And basically what Afriforum is saying is that these songs are inciting violence. And this is the reason why we're seeing quite a lot of farm attacks happening, and this is because of these irresponsible behavior by those EFF leaders. And they're saying that, of course, given the fact that in 2011 there was a judgment that essentially banned the singing of this song, therefore the EFF is in contempt of court. So what he's been able to testify to is the fact that during that court appearance, in fact, he did hear Mbuyiseni Ndlozi singing that song. And one of the allegations by Afriforum is that following that, there were some farms that were attacked, that were burned after Ndlozi had sang that song. But take a listen to what he had to say in particular about this point.
What I found concerning, that I made a note of, was the Member of Parliament, Ndlozi, saying that the EFF's mission was to bring down racism, and then to seem to define racism in a way that was inimical to my understanding, or to the understanding upon which my values of non-racialism are built. And also, I heard something that pricked my ear, and so I asked for a translation from one of the people that I was standing by. And I should just explain, I was standing separate from the EFF crowd. The crowd was cordoned off. I was with the police closer to the court, but right next to the crowd. And when I asked, what was explained to me was that MP Ndlozi was saying something to the effect of, call the fire brigade, we must set fire, and that we must set fire to my understanding is of farmers or boers or something to that effect.
So there was Gabriel Krause there from the Institute for Race Relations. And I imagine, and in fact, the understanding, Manqoba, is that interaction and his testimony brought into focus the relationship between the IRR and Afriforum. What transpired in relation to that?
Indeed, Tulas. In fact, he was asked very tough questions by EFF's lawyers, of course, who implied in no certain words that in the Institute of Race Relations itself was simply peddling what I'll say is the agenda or the narrative of Afriforum in a sense, because the questions that were asked to him was firstly the fact that what are his own views when it comes to the issue of land reform, to the issue of property rights for white farmers, because they've shown that in these articles that they've written for this particular publication, which belongs to the Institute of Race Relations, seem to show that he himself has taken a certain position when it comes to issues of property rights. And so he was questioned on various articles that he has written, where they've managed to show, in fact, that his views are simply aligned or are similar to that have been placed by Afriforum. And of course, one of the big questions that was asked to him was, on the funding of the RR itself. It was revealed in court, in fact, that some of the funding of the RR has come from in fact, Afriforum itself. And so the EFF lawyer is trying to show and to cast doubt on his testimony, to say this is simply somebody who was brought here in court by Afriforum, and therefore what he's here to do is basically peddle what Afriforum had to say to this court. But take a listen to what or to how that particular argument unfolded.
At least on 3 occasions, your institute that you represent, IRR, was funded, or at least a donation and sponsorship from Afriforum and Afriforum-related entities. Not so?
That is correct.
Yes. And you are here as an expert witness called by Afriforum, are you not?
I have been called by Afriforum, yes.
Yes. Have you ever heard of the expression, he who pays the piper calls the tune?
I'm familiar with that expression, yes.
Yes.
Manqoba, lastly, I ask you this question not to seek to get us to weigh in on the merits of the case or otherwise, and the semantics of some of the words, which is obviously subject to the various interactions in court there. I ask purely because someone watching this and someone who is familiar with some of these songs that are sung from time to time may be confused. Which song is now an issue? Is it the song Dubuli Bunu, Ayesaba Magwala, Shoot the Boer, translated to that loosely? Or are we now talking, because I heard you mention called the Fire Brigade, which would be another song which says Bizani I Fire Brigade Guyasha. What's going on?
Well, Tulas, initially it was Shoot the Boer, but we do know that there are 2 separate matters here. It's firstly an allegation that has been made against Julius Malema for singing the song Shoot the Boer outside of Senegal. You'll recall that there was a judgment in 2011 where he was ultimately found guilty of hate speech and banned from singing that song as ANC Youth League president at the time. But you'll understand subsequent to that, there were discussions that I had between Afriforum and EFF where they had agreed, or ANC Youth League at the time, when they had agreed that they will come to some sort of an agreement not to sing the song, but further that they will actually involve their supporters to try and understand each other's cultures. So that's firstly the first complaint that is before the court, the singing again of that song Shoot the Boer. But the second one is that other chant that you just referred to, which is called the Fire Brigades, because they are saying that Mbuyiseni Ndlozi also sang that outside that court case in Senegal. And so they are saying that equally this also incites violence, as they say that some farms were burnt after that. So there are 2 songs, literally, or 2 chants that are here before this court, and both of them, they're claiming that they do incite violence against white farmers. And in fact, as they put it before, it romanticizes the killing of white farmers. So it's both those 2 chants or slogans that were used apparently by EFF leaders outside court.
All right, thank you for that. I just needed us to clarify for people who do follow our political discourse quite closely, who will be a bit confused. Thank you for doing exactly that. That's eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu there, tracking that the court proceedings there involving Afriforum and the leadership of the economic freedom fighters.